So this Vachanamrut is written on the new moon, Shravanvadi Amas, on the month of Shravan. Yesterday was new moon day, Kartak Vadi Amas. Today is Makshar Sudi Padvo, first day of Makshar month. Hmm. Hmm? So on that day, which is the 7th of September, 1820, Swami Sri Sajananji Maharaj was sitting on a large decorated cot on the veranda outside north-facing room of Jiva Khachar's Darbar in Saraangpur. He was dressed entirely in white clothes. At that time, an assembly of munis as well as devotees from various places had gathered before him. So, Muktanand Swami then asked a question. The question is that personal endeavor is mentioned in the scriptures. Personal endeavor means Purush Prayatna. But how much is actually achieved by a personal endeavor and how much is achieved by God's grace? મુક્તાનંદ સ્વામી કહે છે પુરુષ પ્રયત્ન શાસ્ત્રમાં કહ્યું છે તે પુરુષ પ્રયત્ન કરીને કેટલું કામ થાય છે અને પરમેશ્વરની કૃપાએ કરીને કેટલું કામ થાય છે. What is the meaning of how much is achieved by God's grace and how much is achieved by personal endeavor? So what is the definition of achieve? What is called achieve? કેટલું કામ થાય છે? Right. Is that worldly or is that spiritual or something different, So, Swaminarayan Bhagavan is answering in the spiritual level, not worldly level. So Sriji Maharaj explained, one who by the words of Sadguru and the scriptures has attained firm vairagya. So Bhagavan is talking about first vairagya, renouncement from the worldly things. But it is not coming out from one himself. It is coming out from Sadguru and the scriptures. Right. So the basic trail is again Sadguru and scriptures that can lead to vairagya. So there is no Purush Prayatna started out with, It is the grace of a Sadguru or grace of scriptures. But by the grace of these two, the personal endeavors develops. જ્યારે સદગુરુ અને સતશાસ્ત્રનું શ્રવણ થાય ત્યારે આપણને અંદરથી એક પુરુષ પ્રયત્ન ઊભો થાય. We would have desire to do this, desire to do something not usual, not worldly, પૂર્વે કરેલા પુણ્યોને લીધે સદગુરુ અને શાસ્ત્રોનું શ્રવણ સાંભળ્યા પછી કંઈક કામ કરતું થાય. પણ શાસ્ત્રોનું શ્રવણ અથવા તો સદગુરુનો ઉપદેશ તો ગમે તેને એનીબડી કેન ગેટ ઇટ. Somebody is right, somebody is passing by would have the words, and now depending on the previous deeds that will trigger, otherwise it would be ignored, right? Huh? We can think that animals, they listen, dogs and cats, they listen in the house also, right? They have brain also, and they have ears, so they have absorbed also, But the effect of that is very null, because they have not developed that kind of virtues to become human being, right? At the soul level, it may be getting the impressions. But during that life, it may not get that much benefit as some human being would listen, and get the benefits. Now, in the human beings, if someone is not interested in the good blessings of a Sadguru or a reading of scripture, then even though the words will come, he will put a stopper, barrier, And now, to be interested or not interested comes from also the previous deeds or the present influence, Because there was a thief, in the town, and he was very expert, He was never getting caught, in the stealing, And he learned all these things from his father, So at the deathbed of his father told him that, can I tell you something that you would make sure to live that way, And he says, sure. Then he says that in your business of stealing, never, never, ever hear anything from the Sadguru or scriptures. But that father had a business of stealing. And if he goes to Sadhu, Sadhu will say, don't steal.
I thought his father was going to say, leave the things as they are, don't disturb them, other people will know that somebody was here. And don't wake them up.
But if the father is the stealer, thief, what kind of advice he would give to his son? Same thing, right?
So they don't know anything else to do but what they have to do.
Right. So this son says, okay, father, I will make sure that I will never listen to a Sadguru or never read the scriptures, And then he was doing okay. He was doing successful, But one day, at night, he was on his way to do the stealing, and there was a sadhu delivering the lectures, and in the old time there were no lights and other things, It would be just one lamp, under the sadhu's book, that sadhu would read the book, but all others will be listening in the dark, right? Some may have some, lights, torch lights, by burning the oil and other things, But that is for the rich. community, but in the, so poor community, they would not have any light, they would be just either the moonlight if it is clear sky, but if it is the dark new moon, this is the Vachanamrut on the new moon day, right? There will be no light, only starlight, So people cannot see even each other, right? And this thief would be doing the stealing not in the full moonlight, right? He would wait for the dark night, So during that time he was going through his business of stealing. And there this sadhu was delivering lecture. Now he has to pass by, right? So he says, my father has told me not to listen. So now what do I do? What do you think he would do? Eh? He put his fingers in his ears so that he does not listen a word, And he was still making sure that he is going, he's crossing that community, to go to the village to do the stealing. And normally they do stealing because a lot of people are here, so their homes are empty. So they would go and do the stealing, But for his luck, or whatever you call, a big sharp thorn pierced his leg from the bottom to the top. And then broke. Because those thieves, no matter how much they still don't have money for the shoes, Right, and with bare feet, you make less noise, So thieves don't use the shoes when they go for stealing, Also the thieves put on the oil on their body when they go for stealing, Because if somebody grabs, he will not be caught. Yeah. Also, he would not have many clothes also, because somebody can pull on the cloth, Right? Well, they are expert in their business, So they do whatever they have learned, Yeah. It's Gandhi, but without H, So now he has his fingers in the ears, but this thorn got into his foot. Naturally, he would have the hands come out and try to do something. And he could not do anything because he had to sit down there, He cannot move much, It was paining. And if he goes with one foot, then it will make noise, So then he decided that he has to wait until the whole crowd is moved, Then he would go, right? This day is gone, failed. But when he took out his hands from the ear, this Sadguru was talking about the stealing. That stealing is a sin. And it can take us to hell. And it is not earned properly, And we should all stay away from sins because it is said in the scriptures, So he heard all these things. So now, those words entered his head, And when a Sadguru is talking, his aura and his vibrations are so pure that those things will be more appealing and more touching. Chandrakant Bhai. So he did not go for stealing. But where he was living, in that area, there were a lot of thieves also. And the king's police people were looking for the thieves because they had done the stealing. And this guy may have also stole from, the king's palace. That they all, were caught. And when this thief was listening these discourses, at the end when the sadhu left, the Sadguru left, he saw this man sitting because of the thorn on his leg. So this sadhu stopped and saying that, who are you and why are you here? Then he said that, I got thorn in my leg and I cannot move. So this sadhu told couple of people, to give him some, support and whatever, so that he can, go. So they gave him some sticks or other things, with one leg. Then he flipped and then went home. But then couple of days later, this policeman from the king's place, came and raided, all that area and caught everybody, together, So, and they found out, all the stolen stuff also, from their homes, So king ordered them to hang, to die, Fasi, So then this man says that, look, I have problem in my food, how could I have gone for stealing, And then at the time of the last death, they ask for one wish, that whatever your wish, they would fulfill. That is nice thing the kings would do, at least if they want to eat bataka vada or jalebi or આજે શું બનાવ્યું છે? Falafel. They would allow, one wish, to fulfill. So this man says that I want to have that saint, I want to see him, before I die. So they call that saint. And that saint said that I saw this man, he was not stealing, he was there, So he was let go. And he was not punished, So the point is, that even the scriptures and Sadguru says something, but if we do not want to listen, then also there is no effect, But if we listen, then now it depends how much elevated we are, how much accustomed we are to listening those things, Somebody who has never learned anything, like this, will not make much, appeal in his heart if he is not, smart, But if he is smart, then he would do that, There is another story also, that similar this guy, that when the things were stolen, they would test the people by some way to find out whether, they have done this or not, So they give some kind of, hallucination drugs, and then do something, So when this guy was listening to this sadhu, when he had thorn, the sadhu was saying that the devtas, the deities, they are so pure that they don't have any shadows. Devtas don't have any shadows. So now, this is another story. So that this thief was taken to the king, and the king wanted to, give this drugs, and then they were doing the drama there. In the drama, they showed a man with 4 hands, another man behind him with 4 hands, and nice crown and other things, like the king of the heaven, and telling this guy that, okay, I am Indra, and telling you that you tell the truth, whether you did the stealing or not. So when he saw that, he saw the shadow of that person in the light. So he realized that this is fake, otherwise Indra will not be real Indra. So he says that I will go to heaven because I have not done any stealing. So then that king says, okay, in subconscious also he says, he has not done any stealing, so they let him go. So listening one word from a Sadguru saved his life. So the point is, that the words from a Sadguru or scriptures are heard or read with a focus and with a strong desire to follow that way will make a change, That will make a change, And there are a lot of other examples also, that people will do something good, and that thing will change their thoughts and they will become elevated people, But they have to do something, they have to listen to something or read something or something, So that is their Purush Prayatna, This is their personal endeavor, So here also Swaminarayan Bhagavan says that by listening to the Sadgurus, one who by the words of Sadguru and the scriptures has attained firm vairagya. Not so-so vairagya, but firm vairagya. Firm vairagya means that he will not change. Once he has decided that he is not wanting to attach to the world, then no matter what comes, he will not get attached to the world, Otherwise, what happens is that there was one Brahmin who became Vairagi, sannyasi, and left his home and his wife and went on, to decide not to come back home, So he was collecting the, food or grains, and then eating, but he was not enjoying, like the cooked food at home, So after a month or so, he said, okay, maybe I'll go one day, with these grains and let my wife make rotla and other things, Because she makes good rotla, I cannot make good rotla. So he went back home and gave from his jodi, from collection bag, all these grains. So she crushed it and made a flour, and then made rotla. And then she fed him and he ate. So after that she says that in your collection bag, jodi, there is everything. You have grains, you have vegetables, you have fruit, everything, except me. So what is my fault, that you are deserting me, but keeping everything else? So that man did not have a firm vairagya. So then he decided that, okay, I will not quit, I will stay home. And then he stayed home. So his vairagya was not firm vairagya. Hmm? Firm vairagya is that king, Gopichand and Bhartruhari. There is a long story of, right. But before that, when how Bhartruhari became the renunciant, there is a whole story also. That he did not have any children, So he had many queens, So one day he went to the jungle and a sage was doing meditation, one sadhu. So he cleaned up the surrounding and brought the water and brought fruits and other things for the sage, So when the sage woke up, he saw this thing and he saw this king sitting next to him. So he was very happy. So sage ate the fruits. Then the sage says, looks like you are a king, Why are you doing all this? So this king says that I have one shortage in my life. He says, you are king, there could be no shortage. He says, yeah, I have. And say, what? That I don't have any children, So this sage says, well, the way I see, you don't have in your chart children. So, but he says that I have come to you because you can change the destiny, So then that sage gave one fruit and says, give it to your, dearest queen, and then you will have a son. So he was very happy. And he came to his palace and gave. Ek minute, huh?